I once interviewed a suicide bomber in Afghanistan. And it always fascinated me. I thought, what would it have taken for this guy to consider blowing himself up for a cause, for a purpose? And so I was the guy who interviewed him. And so I asked him, I was like, well, why did you think this was a good idea? By the way, he was unsuccessful. Hence why I was able to interview. I was like, yeah, so why did you think this was a good idea? How did this happen? And he said, well, they said my family be looked after, and and it kind of, I had a translator. It became apparent that he had some mental health difficulties. He was retarded. He was, he wasn't all there, and he'd clearly been exploited by others to do it. And that was the theme in Afghanistan. That was kind of what these guys were like. Then I went to Iraq, and Iraq was different. Iraq is an relatively educated country, sophisticated, has industry, and the suicide bombers there were more sophisticated. They had trucks with armor strapped to them, teams of 5, and they would ram these trucks into the front line. They'd get out, they'd be shooting, the truck would blow up, cause chaos. But these were capable guys. They were not, they were capable. They weren't mentally, they didn't have any problems that I knew of. So these guys had obviously been enrolled through religion, and they'd been indoctrinated to believe that this was a great purpose for them. This was the idea. This is the thing that was going to go. This was for their life. That was the career decision they decided to make, which is an interesting one, right? Then I realised there's a third suicide bomber, third type of suicide bomber, and he sat in this room, and it's all of you guys. And I know it's all of you guys because it was also me, and it was also me because I was sabotaging my life to achieve a cause that I didn't really understand. It wasn't my cause. It wasn't my purpose. It was a societal purpose. I used to smoke. I used to drink. I used to sabotage my health. I was overweight. I lacked confidence. There's no way I'd have stood up here and told you you're all suicide bombers about 2 years ago. Maybe longer than that. But, I couldn't run down the road. I was unfit. My relationships were terrible. I would blow up in my relationships, and I would avoid doing certain things in my business as well. So my business wasn't progressing the way I wanted it to. So I was sabotaging in everywhere of my life. And so I thought, I want to sort this out. I need to sort this out. So my name's Ben. I was a military intelligence soldier and spent a year of my life in Afghanistan and a year of my life in Iraq, all top holiday destinations. And I worked with special forces, I worked with the Gurkhas, and I was also a weapons intelligence specialist, so looking at IEDs and how they're built and things like that. So that's what I did. And so I saw war, and I was also experiencing war in my mind, in my own mind. And I decided that I wanted to start to win that war. And I invested in myself heavily. I've spent a lot of money on my own coaching and personal development to change that and to turn it around. And today what I want to do is I want to teach you some things, three powerful things, they've changed my life, and hopefully they will change yours if you allow them to. Does that sound cool? And because you've got me in a small crowd, if we've got time at the end and you want to throw some things at me, feel free. If you want me to hot seat coach you, then I can do. That was Jason's idea last time we spoke. So,
stick grenades.
Yeah, go for it. This is what I do. So, I don't know if anyone's heard this quote, but Mark Twain said that not Mark Twain, Henry Thoreau, whatever it was, most men live quiet lives of desperation. So we're in desperation and we're quiet. We don't talk about it. Women less so, but men a lot more so. And anyone sort of resonate with that a little bit? Yeah? Yeah. There's also another thing that I wanted to share with you, and there's two most important days of your life. Does anyone know what they are? Exactly. No, not your day you die.
Okay.
The day you're born is one,
Okay.
not the day you die, that's
Oh,
not
day you
important.
start living or something?
The day you figure out why. So the day you're born and the day you figure out why. Those are the two most important days of your life. I thought it was you. So what is the war I'm talking about? Does anyone have any idea? Yeah, go on then. See, most two girls in the room.
Did you mean like the internal war?
Yeah,
Your self-sabotage, self-doubt.
exactly. Yeah.
Tick.
Yeah, exactly right, tick. We've all done it. What were you going to say? Warren, yeah, what do you mean? What do you think I mean by that?
Things I say to myself, the things that I believe about myself.
And why are those things a war? Why am I describing them as a war?
Because most of them are not true.
Most of them are not true and probably not useful either.
Is it your voice though? Or is it the voice
So many words.
outside your voice?
So, shame. Shame's a big one. Does anyone see the CEO who got at the Coldplay concert?
Yes.
Yeah, he'll be experiencing some. That was shame, by the way. Ironically, if they just kissed and kind of the camera had moved on, no one would have paid any attention to it.
Yeah, no one noticed.
No one would have noticed. So that's shame. That those guys are, I don't bring them up to shame them. I'm just saying that actually that's war in their minds.
Yeah.
Well, the reaction was shameful. Yeah, they were experiencing shame. Sabotage, resentment, fear, jealousy, indecision, betrayal, unmotivated. I'm not good enough. Put your hand up if you've ever experienced any of that. Yeah? No? What's your secret? So we've all experienced it, and we don't often get an opportunity to talk about it, especially guys. And there's a bit of a rhetoric like, oh, guys, you've got to open up more, you've got to talk more. I'm not like here necessarily to add to that, because sometimes when we do open up, then the blokes we're with just like, well, all right. We don't have the tools to be able to deal with it in the first place. So I create spaces where you can do that, and I'm going to give you the tools today to be able to deal with it yourself and with whoever opens up to you about something that's happened to it. Does anyone kind of look out into the world at the moment and think, what the fuck is going on in terms of war? Like there's bombs dropping Ukraine, Lebanon, all of that sort of thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's mad, right? I would quite like to be able to create some world peace. And I'm going to recruit you today into that idea, if that's okay. Is everyone up for that? Create a little bit of world peace. So the thing I learned is that all war starts in your mind. So it starts here and then it ends up out there. And the wars that we're fighting are over there and not in here. We're always looking over in Lebanon or Ukraine and maybe in that person's business over there, or like we're looking at the CEO who's like been caught cheating and we're like looking at his war and we're kind of getting involved, but we don't really look inside. Does that make sense? So we need to look up here and figure out what's going on. And we're sort of blowing ourselves up, for a cause that it's not really ours. We don't care about it. It's not important, really. So 3 weapons that you can use for winning the war in your mind. The first one is tactical compassion for yourself and for other people. Okay? You cannot start to win the war in your mind if you're taking friendly fire. If you're shooting yourself in the foot all the time. If you're giving yourself a hard time. Okay? Maybe you cheated on your wife, CEO of the billion-dollar company. And now the war in your mind is, I'm no good. I'm unfaithful. You know, I'm not a good husband. I can't, I'm unlovable. I'm just, do you know what I mean? I'm no good. And it goes around and it goes around and it goes around. Maybe you've got your kid's birthday and now you're a terrible father. And you're like, look, I forgot my child's, but I'm a terrible father. I've got evidence right here. Right? I've got the evidence. I'm gonna live into this. I'm gonna believe this. Never happened, did it? No? He hasn't forgot your birthday. That's good. Okay, cool. Maybe, like me, you used to smoke. I smoked for ages, right? Or maybe you do smoke and you're like, oh, it's so stupid that I smoke and that I know I shouldn't do it because I know it's bad, but I'm going to give myself a hard time. Or maybe you're overweight, or maybe you've got an injury and you're like, oh, you know, I'm not as good as I used to be, right? and I'm going to give myself a hard time for that as well. What is all of that? What am I doing?
Self-doubting yourself up.
Self-doubt, blowing myself up. Can you kind of throw some more words at me? Like, what am I doing?
Sabotage.
Yeah.
Shaming.
Reinforcing.
Shaming.
Shaming. Yeah.
Criticising. Self-criticism.
Yeah. Closer. Yeah. And maybe I do it to myself and I also do it to other people. Judgment.
Judging, yeah.
Right?
Amplifying.
It's judgment. Now, you all judged me when I came up here. You're like, he's far too good looking. He's too fit. Who does he think he is? Right? And that is a judgment. And you did it to me, and I did it to you when we first met. And that's what humans do. Okay, so we make judgments all the time. It's how we survive. It's how we get shit done. It's how we make deals, all the rest of it. But really, anytime you say shouldn't, he shouldn't do that, I shouldn't have done this, that's a judgment. Okay, I'm not saying it's good or bad, but what I'm saying is sometimes it's a useful thing because it might save your life, but most of the time it's not useful. It's not really useful, especially if they're going round and round and you're caught, and it's like, you know, I'm just like fed up with this thing that I keep thinking, you know? So when you say shouldn't, that's when you've got a judgment. And we do it to everybody. We do it to ourselves, we do it to our loved ones, we do it to our children, and it all starts in the mind. Why is it a problem?
Hold you back.
How does it hold you back?
You might start believing the rhetoric that you're reinforcing to yourself. Are you asking why
You never
judging
tried,
somebody
you
is a
never
problem?
failed.
Yeah, why is it a problem to like, why am I bringing this up? Why is judgment a problem?
I think you can't judge somebody because you're not in their shoes. You don't understand what they're having to deal with. So how are you qualified to judge
Yeah.
their decision making?
Yeah, so you might not have the complete picture
Yeah.
of what's going on.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's definitely correct. Anything else? What about in yourself, to yourself, when you judge yourself?
Is negative and not positive.
It's generally negative, isn't it? Yeah, it's generally negative. It's very critical. How do you feel when somebody's like criticizing you all the time? You don't feel like, yay. So you're doing that to yourself inside your head. It's just like, it's friendly fire. It's friendly fire from your own mind. So it is a problem. But it happens because you're human. And so in the event you are human, you are going to need rule number 2 or weapon number 2. Weapon number 2 is hostage negotiation and forgiveness. Guess who the hostage is?
Yeah.
Yes, correct. But also anybody else that you've got a like judgment or a case of judgments maybe. So maybe maybe your wife cheated on you, right? She shouldn't have done that. She should have done this. She should have blah, blah, blah. They're all judgments. And now you've got like a case of like judgment around this person, and you're holding them hostage to that judgment. Does that make sense? I'm not saying it's good or bad. I'm just saying, is it useful for you and how you feel? Because we're just biology, we're just chemicals, and so we get all this. The thinking creates our feeling, basically, and when we feel a certain way, we're going to act a certain way. I didn't feel like going to the gym. I did feel like going to the gym. So if you don't feel like going to the gym all the time, it's going to be very hard for you to then go to the gym. So the feeling is really important. And when I was in the military, guess what they tried to do with our feelings? Put them away, because killing people is not a sort of thing we want you to feel anything about. Kind of soldiers walking around with feelings. So I didn't know what my feelings were for a long time. My coach had to bring out a chart with all the different feelings on to ask me, like, what are you feeling? And I was like, oh, maybe a little bit anxious. And also I'm a bloke, so I don't want to tell you I'm scared. But he's like, oh, yeah, that is fear. Right, that's fear. So I had to figure out what my feelings were. It's also a problem for your body. So if you're holding judgments onto yourself or onto other people, your body actually feels it. Has anyone felt really stressed out before? What happens in your body? Look at that. Yeah, there's chemicals happening in your body, but there's literally tension in your nervous system. I used to own a gym, and one of the most amazing things happened one day. I had a client, she had IBS, which is irritable bowel syndrome. And we had a coaching session, we sat down, we were talking about what was going on, and she burst into tears, and basically her husband had died a couple of years ago, and it was all very sad, and it was a great relationship. And we got to a point in the conversation where she realized something, and it released something in her nervous system. And she went, oh, that was really clever what you just said. And I was like, well, I mean, you said it, I just asked the question. And she went, oh, my tummy feels a lot better. And at this point, I'd sort of forgotten that she had IBS. I was like, oh, well, what's been going on in your tummy? So IBS since he died, basically, every day. I was like, okay, well, we'll keep an eye on it, because I kind of guessed what had happened. So we'll keep an eye on it, and then we'll see. 3 months later, I saw her again, because she'd been away on holiday and stuff. It's like, how's your IBS? Oh, yeah, fine. She'd forgotten. But she had like 1 or 2 flare-ups. She'd forgotten she even had it. That's what's happening in your body as well, when you hold judgments against things. So, does that make sense? Yeah? Hostage negotiation and forgiveness. What happens in most negotiations? Does everyone agree the first time? No? You've done lots of negotiations, I would imagine. Yeah. Property deals. We don't always agree the first time around. You've got to keep having these negotiations. Okay, you've got to keep you've got to keep asking the questions, is this true? Is this really true? What I believe? Or am I making a judgment? Is it a useful judgment? It doesn't matter if it's, like I said, it doesn't really matter if it's right or not. And if you've had enough, just tell yourself you've had enough. Just be like, I've had enough. I had another client who she's lost her husband. So another woman who's lost her husband. And we're on our seventh session. I do 2-hour sessions with most of my clients. And she's telling me the same story again. It's kind of like PTSD almost. She's like reliving the experience. And I could see that she was just fed up with telling me the story. So I just sort of, this was a loving thing to do, by the way. Slammed the table and I said, enough. And she went, yeah, I've had enough. I was like, I know you've had enough. I've had enough of your story. I know you've had enough of your story. You don't need to keep reliving it. It's like watching a bad movie. It's like watching a horror film. You can just say enough to your brain, and you can stop reliving it. And if you want to, I wrote a poem called Enough, which maybe I can share with you later. But the context of that was she shared a poem with me at the start of the session, and then that came up for me the next day. And she just read the poem over and over again, and it just reminded her, you have control over you can have control over your thoughts. You can say enough. I've had enough of this thought. I'm going to be forgiving about it. I'm not going to beat myself up, but I've had enough. Follow? So, the third weapon. Those suicide bombers, how the hell did they get enrolled into that? Like, they had nothing better to do.
Nothing better to do.
But seriously, like if you're out there recruiting suicide bombers,
That's the option you've chosen, isn't it? Yeah.
you're the suicide bomber recruiter. Weird job.
You're a good salesman.
Yeah. But you're basically enrolling people into your vision, right? Because
that means they don't have one of their own.
they don't have one of their own. They don't know what their purpose is. Because I'll tell you what, no one has ever told me in the work that I do with people that their purpose is to go and kill loads of people or harm or maim anyone. Like it's never come up. Now, I was enrolled into the idea that that was my purpose when I was in the military, but a little bit of investigation into, do I really feel like that's true? It's like, no, it's obviously not true. My purpose is to help other people figure out their purpose and live it. Yeah, that feels more right. Like, you get to choose what your purpose is. And maybe you've ended up in a position where you have been enrolled by society or someone else into a purpose that you don't really believe is yours. But and if you're experiencing that, you know what I mean, because you feel out of alignment. Things don't feel right. Things are blowing up in your life. But you get to choose. It was actually earlier on today, I was listening to Napoleon Hill. Everyone know who Napoleon Hill is?
Think and Grow Rich.
Think and Grow Rich. Show me a man without a purpose, and I'll show you a drifter. Show me a man without a purpose, and I will show you a drifter. By way of hands, does anybody know their purpose? Like, word for word, could tell me what it is. It's not like I'm not shaming you or judging you, because I didn't really know mine like a year ago, really. But it's worth figuring it out. It's really worth figuring it out, because when you figure it out, you will just become more aligned with who you really are. You're sort of on track doing the thing you should be doing, the thing you were put here to do. It's a great thing to figure out. It's great. And if you don't know what it is, then you might be enrolled into another person's idea of what it is you should be doing. So just consider that. And maybe you're the third suicide bomber. But to feel powerful, you don't need to blow yourself up. You don't need to blow yourself up. You just need to figure out what's the purpose and then get in alignment with your purpose. And the question that you're like, my offering is, the question to answer is, who am I and why am I here? Who am I and why am I here? It's quite a big question, isn't it? My first coaching session with my coach a year ago, when I got myself a one-to-one coach, I was like, I've had enough of this. I'm getting a one-to-one now. He was like, who are you and why are you here? I thought you meant, why am I here at the session? I was like, oh, I'm Ben. Yeah, I'm here. I'd like to, learn about who I am and whatever. Don't think I said that, whatever I said. But I didn't really have a very good answer. It was a bit wishy-washy. Does anyone know what the most powerful words in the universe are? No. Close. That's like a good. That's a good guess, but no.
Why?
I am.
I am.
I can.
I am. What are the things that are going on in our head? They're I am statements. When Jason took me out, when I started looking into property, we knocked on a door and he said, "We are." So he didn't say I am, but he said, "We are professional property investors." I was like, yeah, that's exactly what I am. I have no fucking idea. I was like, but before he said that about me, I was like, I am not a property investor. I have no idea what I'm doing. Those are my I am statements. And it's like, becomes an identity. I'm not a gym person. Like, what the fuck is a gym person? It's someone who just decides that they're a gym person and they go to the gym. That's it. You know? So you can create your I am statements. I am a powerful, confident speaker. Do you want to book me at your next speaking event? Probably more likely to book me than if I said I'm a terrible speaker. Because if I said I'm a terrible speaker, then I just created in your mind that I'm a terrible speaker. And then you then have this image of me in my mind like I'm a terrible speaker. So then when you talk to me, you're like, this guy's a terrible speaker. And if you ever talk to me to someone else about who I am, you're going to be like, oh yeah, Ben, terrible speaker. All right, because I created that. I created that just by telling you I'm no good, basically. And we do that with so many things, so many things. So would you like to hear who I am?
Yeah.
It's taken me a year to figure out. So I am loved, loving, and joyful. I am in love with Eleanor Jane Smee, and we are fantastic parents. I am a master communicator and listener, especially with Eleanor Jane Smee. I am a positive role model and father to my son, William. I am focused, disciplined, and calm. I am grounded. I am in my fullness as a man. I am a king, a warrior, and a magician. I am more than enough. I am a success, and I am worthy of more. I am world class, and I can help anyone achieve anything. And my parents named me Ben. That's who I am. Cocky, isn't it? First time I heard someone say something like that, I was like, fucking hell. I don't know who I am. I have no idea. I think I'm no good. I think I'm not this. I could never do that. By the way, there's more to that. That was the short version. That was the short version. I'm a powerful, confident speaker. So the other one. So there are three tools that you can use. The implementation of them can be tricky because you can have stories that have been with you for a long time. If you're older, I'm afraid it's harder. If you're young, it's much easier because you haven't had 60 something years of... I was going to say 660. But you haven't had that many years of...
Remember, you are older than me. But that's true.
A thought in your mind is like when you walk through a grassy field and you leave a trail, and the more and more times you walk through it, the deeper the trail becomes, and the more. So it's the thought loop. That's what it's like. Now, interesting, LSD clears that, but LSD was designed as a. LSD was designed as an addiction drug. That's not drug as a well, yeah, it's a drug, but as a medicine, and it clears the path. So there are things you can do, but there are other ways that you can clear it. You don't have to take LSD. You can use the tools, use these weapons. That's a great start. I've known about it for a long time. I've just started learning something called transcendental meditation. Has anyone ever heard of that? Yeah. It's absolutely awesome. Like, it's the easiest meditation I've ever done in my life. Never ever been able to get into it properly. When my teacher told me my mantra, so you get a mantra specific to to your nervous system. Don't ask me how they do it because it's a secret. Been passed on from generation to generation through the yogis. I was meditating, and I knew I was meditating. I don't know, 5-10 seconds into sitting there with my eyes closed and repeating my mantra. It's incredible. So there are things you can do, but first of all, just like be consciously aware first. Like, elevate your understanding. Like, think about what's actually going on in here, because once you realize you're making judgments all the time, and then you start practicing forgiveness, and then you know who you are. Because the other thing, when you know who you are and why you're here, you rise above the bullshit. Like, what's he going to think of me? Who cares? Like, you're here for a reason. Who cares what they think of you? You know, people say, "Oh, don't worry what he thinks of you," but you do. You do. But if you know who you are and why you're here, then you can rise above it. Like the CEO cheater thing's quite a good example, because people are so invested in that right now, aren't they? Like, oh, you should have done it. Why do you care? Like, why do you care? Because it's like, oh, we can look at his shame over there, and we can, but also I don't know why I'm here, so I'm just going to talk about that thing. You know? Yeah, it's distraction. It's
There's more distractions now. What they're asking, you need here and
yeah, I agree. And it's really easy to get distracted. And, you know, some people may think that there are people out there who want you to be distracted so that you don't know who you are and why you're here. Because then you'll be free thinkers, and then you'll do whatever you fucking want. We don't want that. We want you in the system. So the war in your mind, it is winnable. Like, I don't care how bad you think it is. Like, it is winnable, and I know because I've already been there. Really, oh, blimey. So I have an invitation for you to step into. If you want to step into an environment where you can win the war, then there are people doing it. There are people winning it. It isn't for everyone, because most people are quite comfortable not addressing the war. But, and they're sort of hiding in their Ferrari, if you like, hiding in the Maserati. So if you want to stop hiding, if you're ready to kind of step up and step into your purpose, then we need to have a conversation. It's been a pleasure sharing my tools with you, my weapons. Thank you for Jason for inviting me, and
having you back.
yeah, and Andrew. It's been a pleasure. Thank you for your presence as well, and like your attention. That's it. I've been Ben. I can help you win the war in your mind.
Questions for Ben? I'll ask her, so you've got 3 tools there, who's to headline those tools? If it's possible.
So basically, stop judging yourself and others, but in the event you're human, you're going to need to learn how to forgive. By the way, I forgot to mention, every single religion talks about forgiveness. I'm not religious. I would say I'm spiritual, but that's irrelevant. I mean, it's interesting that because religions have developed themselves independently of one another. So when they've come up with the same thing, it's quite, it's like interesting. Must be a human thing, right? Not necessarily a religion thing. So stop judging yourself and others, learn forgiveness for yourself and others, and practice it, and then know who you are and why you're here. And by the way, you need them every day. You do need them every day. I'm not perfect, but I do practice it pretty much every day. Like, every day I'm like, who am I? because you wake up, you're like, oh, I fucking can't bother today. Like, you need a reminder, who am I? And so, you know, I'll journal, I'll think about like, who have I been judging? How did I judge myself today? And it might just be silly little things like I judged myself for saying something silly at the property networking thing today, and so I forgive myself. It's just like might be a silly little thing, but one of the guys who taught me this, he said, every day my plate gets dirty with judgment, and every day I need to clean it with forgiveness. And this guy was like really grounded. I was like, even you forgive, even you're making judgments. So yeah, everyone does it.
Human trait.
It's a human trait, yeah.
Hey, you said when you were in the military that they trained you not to have feelings. Do you regret your time in the military, or do you feel that it has helped shape you in terms of who you are now?
Great question. I battled with that quite a while, because there was a time where I did kind of regret it, because I think, like, what was the point? You know, a year in Afghanistan and a year in Iraq, and look at those countries, look at all the people we killed, look at all the people who got killed, the money that we spent could have been spent on something amazing. But it has absolutely shaped who I am. And I also believe, one of my mentors said that there's no mistakes in the universe. And I think that's quite nice, to think there can't be a mistake. Like, we are all part of an amazing thing, and how can there ever be a mistake? It's like, and that just sort of makes things a little better, you know. But yeah, it's absolutely shaped who I am. So, and it taught me a lot.
Have
Yeah.
you managed to forgive yourself?
Sorry?
Have you managed to forgive yourself?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, absolutely.
Every day.
Every day, every damn day. Yeah. I mean, some things like that, some big things that you forgive yourself, and sometimes you don't even know. Like, when someone asked me about it, I was like, I hadn't even thought about it, and then my bottom lip started going, and I realised, oh wow, I actually carry some shame about this thing that I didn't quite realise. But before, and I think a lot of guys are like this, like, we're quite like just grey, just kind of like, I don't know what to say about it. You're not really experiencing love or joy much. Does that make sense? Like, everything's a bit dampened, and the military just kind of, the training kind of dampens it even more, because it's almost like not masculine to talk about your feelings or what's going on, and that's a whole nother kind of talk, really. But that dates back to World War II, where 85,000 people got killed in World War II. Sorry, 85 million people got killed in World War II, and most of them were men. So we lost a lot of what is a man. Like, we lost a lot of that in World War II, and then it's just generational since then. Because the guys who would have come back would have been traumatized and beat the shit out of their family. And don't talk about anything, guys. It's not a normal thing. War is not a normal place for humans to be. Yes, we've had it for all of human history, but we don't deal with it very well, ever. And we would have, before, like, we got good at it, we would have had a little ruckus, and then kind of a few people would have been killed, and we'd come back and sat around our fire, and we would actually have talked about it to our mates. That doesn't happen anymore. Now it's even more detached. We're just on UAVs and shit, blowing people up. So, yeah.
Any more questions for Ben? No? So how can we get hold of you then?
Coach Ben Price on LinkedIn.
And you've got some cards to dish out?
Do not have any cards. You have to come and talk to me if you want to win the war in
See,
your mind.
Ben, I tricked him in that one. I know he doesn't carry cards because you have to go and speak to him. That's how it starts with the conversation.